reproductive medicine surgeon, I use NFP data to guide my treatment medically with medicines and surgically to treat underlying women's health issues. So I started on this journey, I remember as far back as high school, learning different birth control methods. In college, I learned about natural family planning, and I was taught that it was not scientific and unreliable and outdated. So that was a perception that I had. My husband and I got married at undergrad, and I started birth control at that time for contraceptive purposes. I ended up going to Creighton Medical School kind of by chance. I'm sure God had his hand in that, but I didn't know why. I ended up at Creighton. And at Creighton, my husband deployed to Afghanistan. And during that time, I had learned more about the faith and how birth control works and decided to get off of it. And I learned about different methods of natural family planning and finally figured out at Creighton about the Creighton model system and eventually NaProTechnology. During my husband's deployment, he decided it'd be a good time to start a family and convinced me as well, and we ended up having our son after he came back from deployment. I had a difficult labor and delivery and postpartum recovery, and I didn't have the most compassionate and empathetic care. I also had a family history of death after a C-section, so the whole experience was challenging. Soon after, I had my OBGYN rotation as a medical student, and I was able to contrast my experiences of regular OBGYN and physicians who practice restorative reproductive medicine. And so in one room, I would see basically the different options of treatment were IUD, birth control, sterilization, etc. And in the other room, those birth control methods were used for everything, not just for birth control, but also for treatment of any, complaint. Not much investigation, not much, just interest in figuring out what's going on. And I thought that was kind of just not interesting or appealing to me. Then I was able to experience, to rotate with these NaProTechnology surgeons, and I went into the OR and saw them finding all these things and fixing them with these really complicated, interesting surgeries, all these different types of procedures. And I didn't quite understand it yet. At the same time, I was learning how to chart and learn more about the Creighton model system, and it just took me a while to figure it all out. But over time, I figured out that they were using these charts to diagnose underlying women's health issues and help these women. A lot of them were there for infertility, but I got to see all these different women's health issues getting treated. And so I had a hard time accepting that I was called to this challenging field. I knew it would take away from my personal life, being home, with family, having sleep. And I finally gave in that this was my passion, and I just love reading about everything obstetrics and gynecology related. And I saw that I could make a difference if I joined this field. I could give women who wanted this option an option of this type of care that was hard to find. And so I knew I had no choice but to do it, that I was made for this. So fast forward a little more, I did my general OBGYN training. Again, we're focused more on hysterectomy, birth control type, treatments, and just, not restorative medicine, finding endometriosis, managing high-risk pregnancies, IVF pregnancies. So I didn't get to see a lot of restorative reproductive medicine. I did get to work with one physician that did that. So fast forward again to fellowship, and then I see over and over all these women with these symptoms finding answers based on their charts. So based on their charts, they're finding hormone issues, ovulation issues, treating PMS, finding endometriosis, treating PCOS surgically and hormonally by working with the body, identifying the fertile window and treating the actual medical issue instead of just giving birth control for everything. And at the same time, I was able to see that I had a lot of issues too. I finally was able to admit and see I have those symptoms and get endometriosis care myself, and optimize hormones and be able to experience greater health. And in hindsight, looking back, I just feel like it really helped my marriage. That change from birth control to fertility awareness and fertility appreciation is really what we call it, because we do see the beauty of fertility by charting, by treating that, by optimizing health, because women are worth that. And by optimizing health is also preventing infertility in some women, and optimizing health is often preventing cancers like endometrial cancers. What else was I going to say about it? And we also were able to find all these issues that other doctors missed and give good treatment. So, for example, endometriosis takes 9 years on average to diagnose for a woman. She suffers for 9 years. That's a lot of cycles, and potentially a loss of a significant decline in fertility in that time. And here with the Creighton model system, we were looking at biomarkers from month to month that were telling us what's going on in the body, that menstrual cycle, and the bleeding patterns and biomarkers give us signs and of what's going on inside the body. It's like a window. And as soon as a woman walks in the door, I have an idea. For example, if she has PCOS, endometriosis, she doesn't even have to talk. I can look at her chart and see kind of a cheat sheet and look at what's going on. And I can use that same chart to run labs based on certain cycle days, which you can't do if you don't know if someone's ovulating, if they're not charting. So you can't run cycle-specific labs, which is important because the menstrual cycle is different every single day. And then you can also base treatments, the hormone treatments based on ovulation. You don't want to give hormones at the wrong time or it'll mess up ovulation. You can't do that for people who aren't charting because you just can't. It doesn't work that way. You have to know when someone's ovulating or you're going to mess up ovulation. So I've had, since then, many of my own patients come to me and their stories are heartbreaking. Years of suffering or suffering of some form, pain, abnormal bleeding, endometriosis, often have failed multiple birth control methods, or didn't want birth control but didn't, was bounced around to different doctors who didn't know anything else to offer, or if they did offer something else, surgery was often incomplete, or they missed endometriosis on surgery at the time of surgery. So with this restorative reproductive medicine and Creighton model or charting, women are proactive in seeing their health in real time with that report card of not only their fertility but their health. So they use it for family planning purposes. So it's used to avoid pregnancy, can be used then to achieve pregnancy. At any given time, a woman will know if she's fertile or not, and she'll know her peak day of fertility, so she can time pregnancy and plan it very accurately and date the pregnancy. And then we have the added benefit of gynecologic health monitoring and treatment. So it's multidimensional, unlike anything else. The pill only contracepts and may help suppress hormones and minimize symptoms, but it doesn't treat anything other than the symptoms. It doesn't help find any answers. It's not going to help fertility or help knowledge, right? Its main purpose is birth control, contraception. But with natural family planning, it has all these uses. It can be used for decades to avoid hormone intake, artificial hormones, earlier diagnosis of cancers, or other health issues. And, by knowing, for example, a woman has PCOS, she knows that she has increased risk factors for other health issues that can be prevented most of the time. By treating these women or, any of these patients early and proactively, their health is optimized, hopefully preventing some issues in her lifetime later.